Alright, so here we got our first actual challenge. You have to throw down your own units for this one, but honestly, this one's not too tough. And now you're going to see me using my typical units. I have Matthew, Almeida, and Chris here. I decided not to use Parn this time. I know some people want me to avoid using collab units in these videos if I can. It makes sense to me, especially a unit like Parn where most people probably have not swept him up. It's best that I stick to units that everybody can get. But of course, Parn's role is pretty easily filled by Sonya here. So my Sonya only has her Cav line masters. I have not mastered her Unicorn line, nor have I even bothered getting her Ninjutsu. If I had Ninjutsu on her, it would probably make this a lot simpler actually, because there's just so much goddamn water on this map. So as you're seeing right now, the main parallel between Sonya and Parn is that they both have Rout. It's going to be very important for my opening move here. So on this map, every enemy essentially has the Tsubame talent. They can hide themselves and prevent themselves from being targeted, and the only way to unhide them is to either stand next to them or hit them with an AoE of some kind. So obviously move against skills like Strike or Parn's Glory of the Faithful skill would uncover them and allow you to attack them. In this case, I uncovered Liko instantly as soon as she approaches me, so I can stun her with Rout. And I just sort of immediately dogpiled Licorice, because I really don't want to have to deal with her for the rest of the map. They were nice enough to make it so that these enemies are not immune to stun. So the reason I want to take out Licorice first here is that she has a terrain effect on this map similar to how she has a terrain effect otherwise, but in this case, her terrain affects your mobility and allows her allies to move faster as well. If I allow that to stay around, it's going to be a real pain in the ass, especially because Knight of Mystery also has an ability that reduces my mobility. So the goal here is to prevent them from reaching some green blocks on the right side of the map. These enemies are programmed to dash straight for the green blocks if you do not uncover their hiding ability on your turn. If you uncover them, they will instead just act like normal enemies and attack you. But of course they'll put up hide again at the end of their turn, so you need to uncover them every single turn. Unless of course they end turn right next to you, in which case they just get uncovered immediately, of course. Once you take out Licorice on this map, it's mostly simple. Of the 3 remaining enemies, 2 of them are actually quite easy. Rachel really doesn't do anything other than normal attack you and increase her allies' mobility. She's not a concern at all. Knight of Mystery can push people around and lower their mobility, but because it's a line skill, it's relatively easy to control it so that you don't find yourself in some kind of checkmate position. No, the one that's annoying after you've gotten rid of Licorice is by far Lifany. So when Lifany ends her turn, she randomly places a bomb on one of your allies, and when that unit next ends their turn, they will take 4 times intelligence fixed damage, and they will be stunned. Both of these cannot be immunized against, so don't bother bringing like Bracer or, Angel Feather or whatever. Now, generally speaking, this really isn't a big deal. These enemies are mostly skilled low enough so that even if you take the 40% HP damage, I mean, first off, you can just heal up, of course, but oftentimes, even if somebody eats a bomb and does not get healed up, you have a decent chance of surviving a hit from one of them. Obviously, it depends on which one is hitting you and who's defending, all that stuff. If you want to facilitate that survival, you can always just bust all your soldiers, because their soldiers are not that strong, and that of course removes a lot of the damage they can do. But the most annoying thing that can happen is if Lifany decides to put a bomb on the same person over and over. I mean, because that unit will be stunned on your turn from the bomb from the last turn, that means you can't even end their turn and then heal them. I mean, they have to move last because they're the stunned unit. Obviously, one way you can get around this is just use Actian on the one unit that's stunned, the turn they get stunned. But for the most part, this fight is not hard enough that you would need to do that. And of course, as you saw, I took 1 turn to set up at the beginning of the map, so if Lifany got a bomb on Sonya on the first turn, I probably would have just reset. Obviously, I can just have someone stand next to Licorice instead of having Sonya use Strike. But screw that, it's about the principle of the matter. But anyways, you can see this fight actually is not intensive enough for me to even bring a bunch of heals on Almeida. I actually brought Holy Word on her, so she can help DPS down some of these guys a little bit faster. Otherwise, it is pretty much the same pattern every single turn. If somebody is not uncovered yet, you should go uncover them with one of your units. And then beat up whichever one of your preference. Of course, I would recommend Lifany, as you might guess. And every other turn, you do need to worry about Knight of Mystery, maybe pushing people out of the way. And honestly, even if you position poorly, all it really does is make you waste a turn. I don't think the DPS check on this fight is high enough for it to really matter. Unless, of course, you're a newer player and you want to maybe give a shot at this challenge. I actually think this challenge is probably very clearable at level 60, albeit it might be a little bit tough. So in summation, you uncover them, you beat up Licorice, and then you beat up Lifany, and then you beat up the other 2. Pretty simple. My Sonya is only half built, but she still manages to do just fine here. Strike, Chivalry, AoEs, and Liko terrain are all ways to make them uncover a lot easier. But as you can see here, it is actually not necessary for the most part. A lot of times you can position in a way to sort of make the AI stand in places that they just uncover themselves automatically. It's more or less what you expect out of the 3rd challenge. Some interesting mechanics, but scaled low enough so that you can brute force it pretty easily. That's all I gotta say. See you next time.